Okay. I took a wander to a bar at the edge of the night, amongst the sprites where lights die and fold. I was just a hood with a beard hung from the centre, shapeless with blurred reason, my limbs synchronised in an arachnid march. Starched collars devoured rare meats in the silent screens of restaurant glass, and the city, that bedraggled spine, snapped and curled into crippled avenues. Into where would I bleed? The seedling swine were massing. I felt the hog-headed hoodoo as they poured from the screaming mouths of shopping centres like solid bile. For a few moments I was caught up with them, soaked and dying. The sky above me was a broken window. I felt the flecks of crystalline shrapnel cut away the faintest hope of survival, and then, as buses careered into their holstered lines, I had handbags and plastic bags and feet-kicking chairs. I was thrust ashore, broken but mechanically stable, my legs motioning to walk even before the clammy hand of direction rested my body on the road. I saw ghosts, fetid and lonely, hovering above your pavements like Christmas decorations, and of course, we were December 23. All the ornaments and plastic babies were shot out like hard rain, but they weren't aesthetic bows or glittered shit to make the world seem cleaner. They were the dead, meat hooked to need, being ferried to the outskirts with penny-scarred hands and sandpaper mouths. They were gruesome, ghoulish and grand. The solid muck of their fingernails was like snuff. I choked on it as I sucked their bones, smelt their dicks and ate their hair. The choruses of seasonal songs sounded mescaline slow. They drooped as though played through horns by broken jaws. All of the joviality of the city was as distant to me as China's buried elders. I took a wander to a bar at the edge of the night, amongst the sprites where lights die and fold. No ferryman, no helping hands to hoist the hanging man to the moon. Buildings fell upon me. I eschewed the warmth of homes for those doorways that lean and are leaned upon. The structures went escher. I rolled into some and up their stairs. Others I was tipped out, the creaking brickwork ejecting me with blank disdain. From others I went via windows, the frames made my shape, lifted me by coat hooks and shapped me slowly to sojourn on shrapnel shores. My soliloquy, nothing but a tiresome hum to anyone that stepped across my desolate will. Downward, downward into ribbons of broken hind legs. The city welcomed me into all compartments of rust. I felt fatigued meandering through the convex plazas of entertainment zones, flushed with ruby winter cheeks and seismic laughter booming brutally about. I put a distant eye on a bar and wondered. It would be immaculate, the gods up. Out in the scrubber-tongued abyss, piss-laden with abundant oils, I would fix my rotten gaze on the limbless angels and spoil my shirt with their spew. Your celebration is deceased, I yelled at car faces as I vaulted above their rooftops on bridge wires. It's deceased. They made me a marionette, my bones supple with decay, were pulled from my green skin and I walked like fingers in puppet wool. My putrefaction was a sideshow to you as the gore wet the earth, you stepped in the gutter lest I put a rank wing upon you. No matter at all. I took a wander to a bar at the edge of the night amongst the sprites where lights die and fold. Spray fucks on it all, the city. I was moved by barbed winds, my slim limbs spinning as rotors do, the stink of my swollen shoes like dog sick and litter. I looked at the skyline, a horizon of crane necks, violent homes competing for height, the satellite dishes embedded in walls like pucks. I looked and saw the swirling devils of maniacal cloud grins, the way that they separate as a fat sunset falls away like a curtain of orange peel. I looked and saw fumes making men of wool and weave, children baying with twiggled ears, the nonchalance of dying cats as they find a perch to peek lazily from their jewelled retina. I looked, and all I wanted was that bar at the end of it all. A woman of sorts melted around my neck like a cheap plastic wig. I didn't notice her at first. It was only when her tongue became a caterpillar, lumbered clumsily into my ear, that I realised I was being eaten. I hoped that she wouldn't swallow all of me before I could make it to that optic haven. She was feverish, swelled with air and bitterness, her rigor mouth was frozen in a gulp. Yellow teeth fell out like popping corn, and I crushed them with my knees. She chewed at my cheeks, rank, gnawing, beneath the tomb of offal. I let it happen, all the while feeling the strength drain away in filthy strips. We cut sharp grooves towards Digbeth, outskirts of butchered bricks, the oldest, Albanian whores, wrangle meat in rooftop bedrooms. No one sleeps anymore. We passed coach station. She nestled on my shoulder, the last blue threads of my jugular somewhere between her teeth, suckled to gum like string. Look at the neon, I told her as we passed this real husk of the Bluebell Suite, and the weeping European cunts looked out through frosted walls. That's where they keep them, cuffed to currency, chained in sheets, every scary, capillary red, old cock in town gets to have them. Smoke it, taste it. How much to do it without a rubber, love? The girls resigned. Why not? They put out talons of stockings, but the tips are soft. There's no vivacity in the act. I've seen it through another man's face. A girl will just lie back and disappear, like her bones have gone. The punter's left with empty skin to pommel. He grinds, greasy hips, against translucent mass. It's the thought of a woman. She's gone, receded beneath all the filthy sheets in the sea. The man can see black cuts where the eyes used to be, a withered red apple that was once an effervescent smile, jutting breasts that are now, sadly, like two deflated camel tongues. And yet, with all this ghastliness, he continues the ritual until he comes. One for the road, baby. She choked me with that snail tongue. Oh, we pulled into alley bricks off High Street. She kneaded my pork with chicken claws. I pushed her against it, stony cold. The kind of cold that only rock can offer. She climbed from my back, lifted up that skirt, and I saw that her load hung down like squid from the sea. So natural, so certain that it's all that way. All the pieces foam and squirm, the gristle bends, and is placed and is tugged until it pukes. That's love, she said, bent to the ground like a flaccid lamppost. That's it, honey. Let me see the gleam of your heels. I took a wonder to a bar at the edge of the night, amongst the sprites, where they die and fold. And I found it, sat as still as fog, illuminated by the fear-white eyes of its patrons, by their pendulous noses sick with boils, by their woeful stink to which mine attached. I found the bar and it rolled out a tongue, poured me in like an olive, seductively plucked from the sour martini from which it grew. They took me in, laid fat arms around me, each limb was a blubber scarf, or, when they introduced me to the elders, a knitted length of bone. They fucked me open with godsups and optics, and the woman on my back became a hump. They filled my hood with sea, the beard greyed to falling ash, and, as the sky became spilt ink, as it does, they took me to the hole at the end of the glass. I never thought something like that would ever get a round of applause. And I don't know if it's guilt or, just because where you are, but I can't see anyone, so it could just be one person clapping a lot. But